crazy, you gotta start with the basics. The best place to start is by learning to shove it. To do a shove it, start by placing your index finger in the center of the board and your middle finger on the tail. This is the standard finger position for almost all tricks. With your middle finger, push the tail down and towards you to spin the board around. Remember, this trick requires a light touch. Jam your finger down too hard, and you'll wipe out. Once you become a shove-it master, move on to the ollie, and you'll be landing killer tricks in no time. Now it's time to learn the most important trick of all, ollie. To do an ollie, start by placing your fingers in the standard position. Then use some backwards momentum to help you get height. Push down on the tail and slide your index finger towards the nose to level the board. This may be a hard trick to get. Once you master the ollie, you'll be able to move on to more advanced tricks. Once you get the hang of the ollie, you might want to try a nollie. To perform a nollie, place your index finger at the front of the board and your middle finger at the center. You'll want to get a lot of forward speed to pull this one off. Pop the board up with your index finger and slide your middle finger towards the tail to level the board. It's the reverse of an ollie, and it's done almost the same way. Trick tip number 1. To help you learn how to do a nollie, try a nollie pop. Start the trick by using a lot of speed. Use the momentum to pop the board up in the air and twist your wrist to hold the board to your fingers. Then rotate them back and land the board back on the ground. This will help you to master the finger positioning for the nollie, and it'll get you in the air sooner. Trick tip number 2. If you have a ramp, you can use it to help you master the ollie. By launching off the ramp, you get added height and better board positioning. This can help you to master the most important of all tricks. Now that you've mastered the ollie, let's have a little fun. Some of the easiest and coolest tricks to do are slides. We're going to show you how to do a board slide, a nose slide, and a tail slide. To perform any slide, you have to do an ollie with a 90-degree twist. The difference is what part of the board you connect to the rail. To do a board slide, ride up on an angle, launch into your ollie with a twist, and land the center of your board on the rail. To do the dismount, just put a little pressure on the back of the board to keep it level as you slide off the rail. To perform a nose slide, ride up to the rail straight, or on an angle, and ollie up a little earlier than you would on a board slide, and land with the nose of the board and the front truck locked against the rail. To dismount, a small pop on the nose of the board will level you off and unlock you from the rail. The tail slide is done the same as the nose slide, except when you land the trick, you have to lock the tail of the board and the rear truck to the rail. The dismount is just a small pop of the tail, similar to the nose slide. Next, we'll learn how to grind. A grind is like a slide, but you coast down the rail on your trucks instead of your board. We're going to start off with 3 basic grinds, a 50-50, 5-0, and a Smith grind. To do a 50-50, ride up to the rail straight on, ollie up, and land both your front and rear trucks on the rail. To dismount, pop the front of the board up by pushing down on the tail. You'll slide right off. To do a 5-0, you gotta ollie up, but only land your rear trucks on the rail. By putting pressure on the tail of the board, your front trucks won't touch the rail. Dismount is easy, because your front trucks are already popped. Just enjoy the smooth dismount. The Smith grind is a little harder. To do this trick, you have to ollie up, but shift the board to the side a bit. The trick is to get the rear trucks on the rail, but the front, only the board, not the trucks, are touching. To dismount, it's the same as the 50-50. Just lift the front of the board up and slide off the rail. Once you've mastered those grinds, it's time to get really hardcore. Try for a nose grind or a crooked grind. To do a nose grind, you gotta start with a nice high ollie. Get some good air so when you land on the rail, only the front truck is touching. By putting pressure on the nose of the board, you'll ride the rail without the rear trucks ever touching down. To dismount, you need to give the board a push down and forward, otherwise you'll wind up with a face plant. A crooked grind is the same as a nose grind, but you gotta angle the board as you slide down the rail. The key is to lock the truck so you can slide the back of the board inward as you grind. To dismount, gain a little speed, pop it off like you would on a nose grind. Once you master all 5 grinds, there won't be a rail you can't handle. Flipping the board during an ollie is a great way to show off your board skills. Whether you're kick flipping over an object or just mixing it up a little while you skate, flips are some sick tricks that demand respect. We're going to show you how to do a kick flip, heel flip, fakie impossible, and a 360 flip. To perform a kick flip, start off with a standard ollie. The key difference is that when you slide your finger up to level the board, you slide it up and towards you. This motion will start the board spinning. To stop the board, wait for it to make a full rotation, and then land your 2 fingers on the top and slam the board back to the ground. It may sound like a tough trick, but once you master the finger movements, it'll be one of the sweetest and easiest tricks in your arsenal. A heel flip is almost the same as a kick flip, but you want to spin the board away from you instead of towards you. Stopping the spin is the same as a kick flip. Just plant those fingers on top of the board and bring it back down to earth. A fakie impossible is one serious trick, if you can master it. You start off by riding fakie style with your middle finger at the nose. While you're rolling, pop the board up with your middle finger. Only this time, instead of leveling it off with your index finger, you gotta move that finger out of the way so the board can flip over top your middle finger. Once the board flips around, you get your fingers back on top of the board and continue on in fakie position. It's not called impossible because it's easy. It's one serious flip trick. A very cool variation of the fakie impossible is the standard impossible. A little harder than the fakie, but it's a way cool trick. To pull off an impossible, you ride the board forward with your fingers in standard position. Then, pop the board with your middle finger, and like the fakie impossible, move your index finger out of the way. The board will rotate around your middle finger. A 360 flip is an awesome mix of a kick flip and a shove it. It's probably the hardest flip in the book, but if you can master it, you'll become part of the skating elite. To pull off a 360 flip, you start by popping the board. When the board starts to get air, you have to flip the board with your index finger to start the kick flip, but at the same time, you have to scoop it with your middle finger to start the shove it. If it sounds tough, that's because it is. But when you see how amazing this trick looks, you'll know that it's worth the practice to make this trick perfect. Any trick that you learn can also be performed on a ramp. We're going to show you just a few of the standard ramp tricks. Most of these tricks you already know on their own, but if you can transfer them over to the ramp, you'll open up a whole new dimension of fingerboard. A rock to fakie is probably the easiest ramp trick. Simply ride up and touch the board to the lip of the ramp. Balance the center of the board on the coping and tap the front wheels on the ledge. Then simply ride back down fakie style. Once you get a rock to fakie, you can turn it into a board slide. To perform a board slide, start the same way you would if you're going to do a rock to fakie, but instead of just rocking on the lip of the ramp, push the board across the coping and then dismount, fakie style. If you want to take the next step, try a blunt. Ride up to the top of the ramp and lock to the coping between the rear trucks and the tail of the board. To dismount, pop the board off the coping by doing a small ollie-like jump. Cruise back down the ramp. Another variation is the blunt slide. It's adding the same movement as you did with the board slide. Once you lock into the blunt, slide the board across the coping and dismount the same way you do with a standard blunt. A 50-50 is a very cool ramp trick to master. To perform a 50-50, ride up the ramp and turn the board when you get to the top. Your rear trucks will lock into the coping, and then rotate the board sideways and lock the front trucks onto the lip as well. Push the board across the ramp as you would with any other slide. To dismount, lift up the front of the board and turn it to face downwards. Your rear trucks will unhinge while you rotate. and then just cruise back down the ramp. Once you get the hang of these ramp tricks, try variations. Any trick you do off the ramp, you can probably master on the ramp. And for an added challenge, try making combos and variations, mixing different tricks and maneuvers. Tricking off the ramp is an art unto itself. Now that you've got a number of tricks in your arsenal, have some fun with them. Ride a skate park, either with official Tech Deck skate park gear or just build your own. You can trick off just about anything you can find. For a really fun ride, mix Tech Deck gear with everyday items to create the ultimate skate park environment for you and your friends to cruise through. Just remember, with Tech Deck, there are no limits.